Hello, my marvelous mutts. Welcome back for a minisode. We haven't had one of these in a very, very long time, but we are coming back to you in full force with a very exciting episode with some very special guests. I'm Devin Shepard.
I'm David B. Jacobs.
And Rob is off getting married, but we do have three guests with us today. They are the three filmmakers behind such films as The Accursed, which is a horror film currently available out there. I have Elizabeta Vidovich, Isabella Vidovich, and Catherine Michelle. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having us on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. We selfishly always really love to have fellow filmmakers on as filmmakers ourselves.
Yay.
So,
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, no, we love it. Horror, female filmmakers, we're all about it.
Yep.
Yes. I'm excited to get really nerdy with you on this topic today. I would love to hear more about what the three of you do. And please tell us about this movie, The Accursed, which is such an awesome name. I am terrified just at the title.
I love that.
So we are a trio of lady filmmakers. We opened up this production company, Almost Null Productions, back in 2010 with our first feature film, Find Me, which was a drama, kind of like a Twin Peaks meets what, Kath?
Well, it was a wild and crazy ride.
yeah. Anyway, and then since then we've produced several short films, and just recently our latest, The Accursed, and have various projects in development, probably several other projects in development. So we're always busy doing something, either behind the camera or in front of the camera. Bella's an actress. We used to act, Catherine and I. So
that's how we met.
Permanently behind camera, but yeah, we were we met in an acting class
when we were young.
I mean, I think that's the gist of it. Is there something you wanna fill in, Kath?
No, that's pretty much it. We, our main mission is to empower women in front of and behind the camera while we entertain. So, you'll notice all our stories have very strong female characters, and we put them in very dynamic situations, but they're everyday average women that you would see out there. They all have an inner strength that they pull upon to get through whatever we throw in front of them in the story. So that's very much what The Accursed is. And
what's the elevator pitch for The Accursed?
The elevator pitch. Well, The Accursed is about a curse, shocker, that's been brewing for 20 years, and it gets unleashed and threatens to annihilate an entire bloodline. So
nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice ghostly revenge story.
Yeah.
And what's unique about it is our backdrop, which is a lot of European folklore.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where in Europe?
It's
Eastern.
It's like an Eastern Europe ambiance, but it's vague. Like, it's not based on any one specific.
Yeah. It's a made up country, made up Eastern European country.
Yeah.
But a lot of I guess
Balkan influence.
Yeah, influence. Like lots of food and music and clothing that's very authentic, but then the actual folklore is also very fictitious. So
is it period or modern?
It's sort of period. It's like around the 70s. We tried to keep everything very vague for the purposes of being able to just immerse yourself into the story and not the details. But you'll notice there's not a lot of electronics. There's not any cell phones. You'll notice the dress is very 70-ish, but it starts off 20 years before that. But, again, it's a family that comes from that side of the world. So you'll notice a lot of the dress and the influence is of that kind of region. So it's very hard to pinpoint in the story on purpose.
Cool.
Love that.
I just watched the trailer like 20 minutes ago, and it looks really neat. The score immediately jumped out to me. That was a really good score.
Yay.
We love Tassos. He did an incredible job.
Yeah. No, that's not the first time we've heard that. We really love our composer. He used all real instruments. He's Greek, so he has that sort of European background himself. So he was great.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we really wanted, was that authentic, real instrumental sound, because we are coming from an old world feel, instead of that synthetic sound. And he really, I mean, he's just so talented. We were so impressed.
Yeah.
And he was so into it.
Yeah.
When we had an initial conversation, we were like, we have to work with him because he read the script and was like, I have to do this. I just love the story so much and speaks to me, and I really understand it. And yeah, so it was just a match made in heaven between us and him, and it really did elevate the film to a different level altogether.
It's definitely creepy. And what roles did you play in the filmmaking process?
Well, Catherine and I, we wrote, produced, and directed, and Isabella was a producer and one of the stars of the film.
Oh, sweet.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
We wore all the hats. You guys know. You know how it goes.
It's like an independent filmmaking. Okay, how long do you have?
And all the other roles that you don't want to say, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Trash collector, gate
Room mop.
closer.
We often joke, it's like, what would we do with like $50 million budget? Like what? No, I'm kidding. I know exactly.
I know, because we would have to just do one job that we were assigned to. What fun is that?
No, we know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't let her fool you. We know.
No.
No, but that sounds really incredible. And thank you for pushing out the female stories. We always need more of them. And I love hearing that is such the backing of your production. Where can everybody watch The Accursed right now? It's out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can watch it on iTunes and Amazon, Tubi, Vudu, Redbox. Yeah, pretty much. Right.
I think the best thing to do is to just go on our website, almostnormalproductions.com. And
all the platforms
show up the moment you open the website.
Yeah, we made it easy.
Yep.
Perfect. So almostnormalproductions.com. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So everyone listening, just open up the description and there'll be a direct link right there. And we'll link the trailer too, because it is creepy and very good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get started on our topic today, which was something you guys chose and is honestly, I think we say this every single time, that it was a hard breakdown, but I think overall a really fun one because it spreads across many genres, not just horror. We're going to be breaking down our top 3 favorite vampire characters in both film and TV. We did not limit it to just film, which was a lot more fun. Starting us off,
Yeah.
I want to throw it off to our guest. Elisabetta, what was your number 3 pick?
It was Lestat from Queen of the Damned.
Ooh.
Stuart Townsend played him. And it's interesting because I read all Anne Rice Chronicles, Vampire Chronicles. And when I was reading Lestat, that's exactly how I pictured him, just to be this kind of like this rock star, very suave and look like a Renaissance painting. I just couldn't take my eyes off of him. Like, oh my gosh, Stuart Townsend just nailed him. So yeah, that would be my top 3. Kath, I think you agree. I think we had a conversation about this.
Yeah, it was really hard because we actually, were talking about like our favorite vampire characters and stuff, and all of us kind of had very similar choices. So we were like, okay, we're going to have to really go out there and kind of separate like our, we all obviously have very similar taste in film and character developments and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to hear like each one of us try and separate from who we like.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did. He
it's
was
very rare that I'm not like crazy about the film, but crazy about the character. And that's how Queen of the Damned was for me. It was like, it was an okay film, but I thought that he was amazing.
I'm not too familiar with this one. Is this the same Lestat as Interview with the Vampire?
Well, it's the same character. It's just
It is the same character.
Yeah.
But not the same actor.
Okay. Yes. So it's like it's a different version of the same character.
Yes.
Cool.
Ooh.
This is when Lestat comes back as a rock star.
Nice.
Modern day.
I see that for him.
Yeah, he's a total rock star and like super sexy and yeah.
Cool.
Catherine, did you have the same number 3 then?
No, I went with TV because when I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? One of my favorites was Eric Northman from True Blood, because I was such a fan of True Blood when it came out. And I had read so much of Charlene Harris books, and I was all caught up with all of the Sookie Stackhouse series. And, it just was such a fun read. And then when it came out on HBO as a series, I was like, I couldn't wait to see it, and he was just such a great character because he was so sexy and funny and tragic all at the same time. But he was great, because he was played opposite of that brooding Bill character. And, he was just incredible to watch, and he was just so entertaining. And so I put him as my number 3 because I wanted to try and find a television vampire character that was like my number 1. And that was such a fun ride. And I'm so happy to hear that it's coming out as a kind of a spinoff. Thank you.
It took him a minute. I thought it was going to be a lot sooner.
I know.
Considering the success. Yeah.
I remember when that series came out, it was just so risque at the time. And I remember it just becoming this big phenomenon. Everybody was beautiful on the show, and every episode had this mystery, and it was just so crazy. And we all were talking about it when it came out, and it was just a lot of fun. And his character just lit up the screen. So
I'm hearing a lot of sexy vamps in this episode. This is where I'm leaning. Is this true?
He's my only sexy one.
I have a sexy one in mind. We'll get there.
No.
I have a feeling I know where you're going.
I have a feeling you don't.
Oh.
Devin might, though.
I might. We'll see. Isabella, sexy, not sexy? TV? Where'd you go?
Yeah, no, I'm going to just fill in the stereotype. Definitely sexy vamp, TV, good old Salvatore Brothers. I was a Vampire Diaries fan, so I loved Damon and Stefan. I liked the female vampires on the show too, like Elena and Catherine and all them. But yeah, that's kind of like my semi-cheesy pick, but I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. Yeah.
I feel like it's a go-to. I honestly haven't watched the show, but I'm so tempted because I loved what is her name? The gymnast, like former gymnast who was in that show. Am I thinking of the right one? Maybe not. Doesn't matter.
You might be right. I just don't know. I don't know which. I wonder which character.
I think she was on Degrassi.
Oh, wait, I think I know who you're talking about. The blonde?
Maybe. Neither here nor there. Also sexy. Right. Very much.
Yes.
Call it.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of these picks so far, so that I'm sorry I don't have more to say. I just haven't seen these.
No.
They're nice recommendations, though. There's a lot of vampires in media. Like, no one's going to be familiar with every single vampire. There are a lot of options that people
I just had to go with like the Vampire Diaries. I'm like, that's just I got to put it in somewhere.
Yeah, of course. It's Kevin Williamson, right?
What is it?
Excuse me.
Didn't Kevin Williamson write the show or create the show?
I think so. Another one of those team sexy horrors.
He's the writer of Scream.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to speak incorrectly.
I also haven't seen any of these, so I am writing down this whole list. I know Queen of the Damned was definitely on like the top of everyone's number 1 to rec, and I feel so bad every time I say I'm sorry I haven't seen this movie. Okay, David. Yeah. What is your number 3?
My number 3. First off, I'm very sorry, but just saying the name of this is going to be a medium spoiler for something that came out fairly recently. It's not gonna like spoil the big twist in the end or something.
No, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do.
It's not upfront about being a vampire thing. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then feel free to skip the next 2 minutes, or feel free to get an amazing recommendation. For my number 3 pick is Monsignor Pruitt from Midnight Mass.
That's such a good one.
I didn't think of that one. That is a great one.
That was actually one of my favorite, not just shows, but like, oh my gosh, everything in like the past decade. I was glued. I saw it twice. So good.
I'm going to try not to spoil the ending or anything like that. You find out that it's vampires in the 3rd episode, so it's not the biggest reveal. And it's hinted at before that. Like, I kind of had a feeling just from some of the shots they were using we were in a vampire territory. But basically the idea is Monsignor Pruitt is the priest of this small town who he's elderly, he has dementia, and then he goes on a pilgrimage. He's been missing for a bit. He went on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, got lost, and stumbled upon a vampire who he believed was an angel. So when he's turned, he thinks like, these are miracles that I am performing. I can make everything better. Everyone should know about these angels among us. They never even call them vampires in the entire show.
That's
and
true.
that.
That's actually true. They never did. They never used that word.
No, they never did.
I'm so glad you guys have seen this.
Oh, so
Yes.
good.
That's a
It
great.
was so intriguing. Like every episode, they really, really dived into the characters, and it was just dark and beautiful all at the same time.
The way they mix the vampire tropes with biblical religious tropes is, you have me convinced. I'm like, okay, Jesus was a vampire. I'm in. I'm like, Jesus was a vampire. It's official.
Right.
Oh, I love that. I still haven't watched the show. Sounds so good.
Yes. Devin, how about you? What's your number 3?
You know what? As we go around and I say I haven't seen any of these, coming up with this list, I haven't seen like any vampire anything. So I had
Really?
I don't know why. I've just learned now that was a thing. I've watched very
We've
little
covered
vampire movies.
3 vampire movies on the pod, so you've seen at
Well,
least
I guess
3.
which ones I chose from.
From those.
No, my number 3 is another Anne Rice vampire. I went with Claudia from Interview with a Vampire.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Nice.
She just, the performance that a young Kirsten Dunst does in that film, incredible. And just like having a character, a young vampire, and a character going through, pretty much a coming of age crisis by not being able to grow up, is just such a beautiful, complicated character, I think, especially in the vampire lore.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Talk about movie that I'm not crazy about with a character that I am crazy about.
Yeah.
She's outstanding in that film.
Absolutely.
Terrifying.
Yeah, she truly was. Yeah, she truly was. That was a good movie. I did like it. I enjoy it myself.
I'm amazed that a 12-year-old was able to give that performance.
Yeah.
Amazed. So definitely gotta throw her some cred. Only number 3 though. But okay, so let's go down to our number 2s. I feel like this one might be either the same or a little more divisive. I'm very curious. You guys did say you had some crossover. I'm sure we might have a little. Elisabetta, what was your number 2 best vampire character?
My number 2 is Santanico Pandemonium. I think I'm pronouncing the last name correctly. Pandemonium.
I
right?
honestly would not have known her name. Like, I think that they're going to know who you're talking about when you say.
Sure. It's from Dusk Till Dawn, Salma Hayek's
Oh!
character. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Salma Hayek herself is actually a sexy vampire, because she's the most
Yes.
beautiful women in the world. It's no wonder
she
that
doesn't age.
That Quentin
Wow.
cast her as a vampire stripper who does like this really great dance with a snake. I heard that she had to put herself in trance because she was just so terrified of holding that snake.
Poor
I heard
thing.
it was like a whole thing. But anyway, I just remember first time I saw it, and I just loved the film, period. And I'm a Quentin fan, and I thought that was. I'm sorry, that was a Quentin fan because he was in it. Rodriguez
wrote it.
directed it. But anyway, so I just thought that it was just so fun, right from the beginning to the end, and I had no idea it was going to turn out to be this vampire flick. It was like halfway through the film, it just takes this crazy turn. And she starts it. She starts the whole thing, and when she comes out and she does the dance, and then she just kickstarts the movie into this like crazy ride. So yeah, that would be my pick number 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I knew the twist when I watched the movie, but it's so good.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny that you say that she had to be in a trance to hold the snake, which one, terrifying, and yes, like we need to recognize like some things that actresses go through and still gives a great performance. But I was gonna say, because watching her performance, like I feel like I'm in a trance. She does so well. I think that's such an amazing pick.
She's
Yeah, she
incredible.
was absolutely fantastic. And I think it's one of the. I think it's the role that put her on the map. Am I correct?
I feel like it's a small enough role that I believe that. It's a small enough but big enough role that I believe they would have cast someone who is unknown who then blew up.
Yeah.
She's just, I mean, when she gets in front of the camera, like, you just can't take your eyes off of her no matter what she does. But when you put her then in this, like, with a snake and this sexy outfit on stage, it's just like, you really just, I mean, she just takes you away. It's just amazing.
So good, so good. Catherine, actually, with that, what was your number 2 favorite character?
Oh, Devin, when you were talking about yours, I was like, oh my gosh, that's similar to mine. Let the Right One In, the 2008 one,
Nice.
the Swedish version. It's
Yes.
they did an American version, Let Me In, it was basically exactly the same film. It just the tone and everything was the same. But was it Ellie?
I think so.
It's just because of like you were talking about, so tragic. I mean, she was 12, I believe as well. And she's like eternally trapped in this age. And, it's just when you take children and make them into like villains or monsters, whatever, it's like playing opposite of what people normally see children as, is like the safe and the innocent thing. And so it makes it really scary because you're being pulled out of that safety zone. It's like, what happens when you get thrown off when you feel safe in your home and then somebody breaks in. It's that same kind of violation so when you see this character and she's so darn tragic and she befriends this bullied little boy, and I couldn't take my eyes off of her too. But yeah, so that's my number 2 pick.
Oh, so good. And I think you said it so brilliantly.
Yeah, because she's sympathetic as well. But we also feel for her. She's not strictly a
Yes.
villain in the movie. The
No.
bullies are way worse than she is. We kind
Yep.
of want her to kill them.
Exactly. And that also is another thing that pulls you out when there's all this gray area. There's no black and white. There's no true black and white. There's all this gray area where you have to like flex your morals, and that's true. You really root for her to get those bullies. It's like she was more tragic than villain, for sure.
Great pick. I'm so glad someone mentioned that movie.
I'm surprised, David. I thought it would be in your list.
I thought about her, but I didn't actually have that much problem picking my top 3. There were 3 who had to be in there, and then everyone else was like, if there's room.
Oh, Isabella, what was your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2 is actually the first horror movie that I ever saw, which is The Lost Boys.
Oh,
Yay!
Yeah, was that one of your picks?
No, but I'm so glad you mentioned it.
Yay!
We covered The Lost Boys.
I love it. Yeah, David Kiefer Sutherland from The Lost Boys. It was so funny. We were just talking about it, and he was going to be in her list, and I'm like, no, he's mine. And
I said that if anybody turned Bender from Breakfast Club into a vampire, that's what he would be like.
I was like, that's
oh my gosh.
Oh man, he's so good.
Speaking of sexy vamps, like, hello.
What a
This is the
description.
sexiest
I love that.
Yeah, David is definitely one of my. That's one of my favorite vampire films of all times. Is The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
It's
Let
so
go,
awesome.
Michael. Just let go.
Yeah. The Coreys, it's just,
Oh my gosh, the Coreys were iconic.
love them. It's just the whole thing. The whole movie was
It's
perfect.
perfect.
Loved it.
Yep.
Wait, so
Oh, man.
Elizabeth, did you get Isabella into horror movies? Did you show her this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she saw The Lost Boys maybe when she was like 13, 14 years old.
No, I was younger.
Don't
She's
say
trying
that.
to sound like a better mother, but now that we're here over a decade later, I think I was probably 10.
Okay, it's not that scary. Give me a break.
No, it's not. I love horror movies. I'm not much of a scaredy cat with horror films. So yeah,
No,
it just
I mean,
started a trend.
we definitely didn't start with Shinings of the World and The Exorcist. or anything like
You didn't
that.
start on that note, but
That's absolutely terrifying. But
by
Lost Boys
age
is just
11, we
fun.
were, we had graduated Lost Boys, went up to Exorcist.
No,
but-
we didn't.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's just such a fun, ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
It's just so watchable.
So watchable. Yeah, you could see it anytime, over and over. It's a fun horror.
Yeah.
You really do just need to surrender yourself to the craziness of the film and just enjoy it for what it is, which is a bizarre Joel Schumacher movie.
Yep.
Exactly. So
With
much
sexy vampires.
with
Yes.
sexy vamps, of course.
My number 2 actually ties into this sort of. So,
Ooh.
way back when, like a year ago, we had an episode where we talked about the Lost Boys and Fright Night. And we were basically talking about the queer context of 80s vampire films. And I went with Fright Night, and Jerry Dandridge, who is the sexy vampire villain of that movie,
Yes.
played by the fabulous Christopher Sarandon. He is
Great one.
fantastic in that film. There's like this whole dance scene where he's like hypnotizing the girl, and she doesn't even, going into this, she doesn't believe that there's a vampire. And this scene should be silly and ridiculous, but watching it, you're just so mesmerized. The song from that scene is now like one of my go-to bops because it's so it's, if I were gay, Jerry Dandridge.
I like the remake with
Colin.
I thought it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yes.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I understand if you're a really big fan
Yeah.
of Fright Night, like
Yeah.
I am. I'm a huge
You're
fan of the
purist.
original. I mean, you can't compare.
Yeah.
I agree, but
Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
And it's a very different Jerry.
Very.
That's
Yeah.
what makes it a good adaptation, is it goes a little bit beyond the original, which is fun.
That's fair. That's fair.
David, you and I had the same number 2. I also chose Jerry Dandridge.
Hell yeah.
I'm so
I'm so
glad I
happy.
didn't go with Jerry because I almost went with Jerry.
Oh,
Oh man.
Popular pick.
I'm so happy. Whenever all the like Reddit boards, whenever people do their top vampires, he's never there. I'm always like, guys, what about Jerry Dandridge?
Yeah.
Agree.
So
I think people
funny.
just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
unfortunate. They're missing the ascot.
Yeah. But you discussed it, Devin. Why did you go with Jerry? I gave my reasons.
Oh, I mean, what other reasons other than that he is like, yeah, one of the greatest. And I think like when we discussed that movie too, we'd gone far into the representation of queer characters in vampire movies. And so I think he is, if you're going to look at vampires through that lens, like he's the representative there, I think. So had to give him a shout out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that because we talked about how vampirism is somewhat inherently a sexual metaphor. So, most vampires bite men and women equally. So it's almost like all vampires are bisexual.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole biting on the neck and,
Yep.
the closeness between two people and then the whole compelling aspect of it. And there's so much
Whole
that's
Freudian oral fixation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. There's a reason that the sexy vampire trope has caught on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not new either. Dracula was a sexy vampire.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw 30 Days of Night, and I love the movie, I was like, they are not pretty vampires. These are scary and very, very, very scary.
These were nasty.
And nasty.
Danny Hudson is the most attractive man. I have no idea what you are talking about. Oh my gosh, what?
That's funny.
I think that the whole representing power aspect is another draw. They're just so powerful and they're immortal, and that's a very attractive thing in itself. Outside of just the physical.
It's like if you were going to be any monster, you would want to be a vampire. Like
Of
there is something alluring about being a vampire that people are drawn to and attracted to. There's like entire culture around just wanting to be vampires. They make fun of that in Buffy. There's a Buffy episode where there's a guy who really wants to be a vampire. It's actually a great episode. It's really sad. Anyway.
But there is that tragicness about it, though, definitely. And I mean, like we were saying with the young characters, what makes it tragic is knowing what being a vampire entails, and that it is giving up this mortal life in a way that is not necessarily good for you.
Outliving everybody you love and know. Yeah.
And since we're saying vampires are inherently sexual, when you have a young vampire, it rejects that trope because now it's someone who is old enough that they do understand sex and want to engage in it, but they are young enough where, I mean, they look young. So, like, what do they do? And it becomes this weird contradiction that makes them all the more tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so spot on. Well, we're about to get into our number ones. I'm so excited to hear what you all have to say. You've had some really great ones already that I honestly don't know what you're going to choose for your number one, but I'm looking forward to it. David, before we go into the number ones, I know Rob sent you his top.
Yes.
Oh yeah, let's hear Rob's.
So Rob's number 3 was Marie from Innocent Blood. I don't know what that is. Do any of you know what that
neither.
is?
No.
Great.
I love hearing something that I haven't heard of.
Innocent Blood. That's what he picked. No comment. Don't know anything. But his number 2 was Lestat, but not from Queen of the Damned. From Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Tom was great as Lestat.
Yeah.
I did
Tom was
really
great.
enjoy it.
It's Tom's best role.
An unhinged performance. Oh my God.
Yes, it's the closest he's ever played to himself. And then Rob's number 1 is the final vampire movie that we've covered on the pod, which was The Night Flyer, the character Dwight Renfield.
Oh, come on.
Really?
You knew that was going to be his number 1, Devin. We both knew that was going to be Rob's number 1.
I'm disappointed.
I've never seen that. This is so fun. There's new ones.
Yeah, I thought I saw every vampire film. I had to write that down.
It's Stephen King.
Oh.
Oh,
It's a vampire
wait,
pilot.
What year is that? How old
The
is that
movie
film?
came out in
80? Oh.
98, 97?
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
like mid 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say earlier.
Did you see it?
A long time ago. But I was thinking it was late 80s. Is it really in the 90s?
It was in the 90s. It was low budget. So it kind of feels like an 80s movie. I can see thinking that. So, sometimes movies feel like they're from a different decade than they actually are, and I feel like this is one of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get into our number 1 picks.
Number 1.
Yes.
Well, it's from my favorite horror movie of all times, and one of my favorite movies of all times. It's Vlad the Impaler from Bram Stoker Dracula. So even though he had like this really difficult to understand accent and his really ugly, wrinkled old man look, I would still cross oceans of time to share some everlasting love with this vampire.
Oh.
They actually called him Vlad the Impaler. That's great. I didn't realize that.
I mean, I kind of call him the Vlad the Impaler. It's not really.
Well, Vlad the Impaler was an actual historical tyrant who Dracula is partially based on. Yeah.
I always kind of looked at it as like the original, but it's not. But this was just beautiful. I mean, it was like I always call it
Well, his name was Vlad, though.
Vlad, definitely, yes. I just
You just called him Vlad the Impaler? Oh my God.
That was historically what he was called. I'm not wrong. This whole
time I was thinking it was Vlad the Impaler. That's hilarious.
Dracula.
Oh, that's
No, it's Dracula. It's Dracula.
I thought it was funny. I mean,
like we're talking Gary Oldman, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
That's it.
He wasn't Vlad the Impaler.
It was Vlad.
Oh, this is funny. I'm like debating her now. I'm like, no, you're no, I'm kidding.
No,
I think I'm on your side, Bella.
I just call him Vlad the Impaler. I think it's funny. But anyway, it's like to me, this film is like a fairy tale for adults. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, perfect.
Who did was Hopkins Van Halen?
Yep, Van Helsing.
Cool. Sorry.
Or Van Halen. I mean,
I love that. Let's just
Taylor.
I mean, Van Halen is hot for teacher. Van Helsing is hot for vampire.
That's right.
oh my gosh, I love you so much right now. That's so
He's gonna run with the devil. Run with the Dracula.
Love it. It was hilarious.
Love it.
Catherine, who was your favorite vampire character?
Okay, so this is odd. I don't know if I would say necessarily favorite, but I went kind of off the norm here. As an independent filmmaker, I just really respected what these guys did so much. And so I think the movie itself, I was just so impressed with them, their performance and everything. It's from The Afflicted, 2013. It's Derek. And he's like your best friend. He's so tragic. I don't want to give too much away, but anyway, he's somebody that is not going to live forever, but because he struggles with his mortality, but then he somehow gets his immortality unbeknownst to him. And it's just this whole struggle because he's fighting against it as he was fighting for his mortality. It's like this whole internal struggle, and he does such an amazing job. And it was an indie film, and that's where my heart is with independent films. He uses his real name in this, and so Derek and Cliff both were the writers, directors, and actors in this. So I was just really impressed with this film, and I just really was impressed with him. Yeah.
Is it just their real name, or are they like playing versions of themselves as vampires?
No. It's two best friends that one of them, Derek's character, is struggling with a terminal illness situation that he has. And so they decide to travel, and it's like the found footage thing, but it actually makes sense in this. It's not, horrible. I promise.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. So
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I remember after I saw it, I saw that it was found footage. This was around the time that I was really over it. I was kind of like, okay, everybody's doing it. So, but I'm so glad I gave it a shot, because you guys did such an incredible job with this film.
Yeah. I mean, I think their budget was like only $300,000 or something like that. And they went around the world. Like it was shot all through Europe, and they're Canadian filmmakers. So, I mean, they just did such a great job. And the found footage didn't feel like some convenient tool to cover for being low budget. It did not look low budget at all. In fact, the found footage, that handheld aspect, really worked really well for the premise of it, and keeping them in this like isolated position that these two were in, and they were frantic and trying to figure this out. And so it really worked to support the tone of the film. But Derek breaks your heart, and it's just I thought they did an incredible job. So I picked him as my number one.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. I haven't seen that. It reminds me of. Have you seen recent movie My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put that.
It's on my watch list. It's on my watch list.
It's also they use the one guy's vampirism as sort of like a metaphor for illness, and his siblings have to take care of him by bringing him people to eat, and it's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful movie. It's not found footage. Strongly recommend it. Great movie.
Okay, I will definitely watch that.
Yeah, and I'll watch The Afflicted.
Yeah, I think these two filmmakers are gonna just really surprise us coming up, because this was such a surprise. This was their first feature film, from what I understand. Outside of that, they had just done some short films. So for them to
have they done anything since?
I'm not quite sure. I got to check it out and see.
Okay. Cool.
Incredible. I love that. That literally just jumped to the top of my list. Also, you're so good at explaining movies. Have you thought about pitching movies for a living? That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. It's so funny. It's like when you have a passion for something, it's just like you just dive in. But ask me to explain anything else, and I'll go around in circles. It's terrible. I'm such a painter and not a pointer. So
no, I love it. I'm very, very into watching that now. Isabella, what was your favorite vampire character of all time, or at least for this top three?
That makes it so much harder to answer. Of all time.
That you've seen.
We'll come back. We'll come back in 10 years, Bella, and then
and then I'll have a new list. We've just stepped away from the sexy vamps for too long, so I just had to go back to Twilight. That's my number one.
Yeah.
Nobody has said it, so I'm gonna say it. Edward Cullen. Also about
Edward.
I was just a really big Twilight fan. I read all the books, I saw the films, and her name's Bella. And I'm Bella, so I just did, everything about it. I mean, yeah. So Edward Cullen. I don't know how much more reasoning I need to give besides just that I really love the Twilight series.
Someone had to say it. Someone had to.
I took one
No judgment.
from you. I love how David was laughing at me too. He's like, "Oh, Twilight." Yeah, that's my pick.
There is a reason why those movies did so well, David. Okay, you can't
No.
laugh at Ed Cullen.
I want to make something very, very clear. I watched the first Twilight and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I love it. Probably not for the same reasons as you, but I love it because it's so freaking funny. It's so funny.
The soundtrack is very underrated, actually.
Okay, that soundtrack was
Agreed.
awesome. I will say that for sure, 100%.
Yes.
That soundtrack was awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
Catherine Hardwicke.
Yeah, Catherine Hardwicke.
She made, in my opinion,
Oh,
she made
yeah.
the best Twilight film. I've seen them all. That
Oh
was,
yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
by far
Big
the
Catherine
best
fan.
Twilight film.
The first one.
The first one,
Yeah.
amazing.
Agree. Love her so much.
So what about you
Your
guys?
number one.
Yep.
You both need to give us your number ones.
I'm similar to Elisabetta, but in a different direction. I also went with Count Dracula.
Oh.
However,
Mhm.
I went with Bela Lugosi's Count Dracula.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone's gotta say it. Like,
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi is the freaking king of this. He is
Iconic.
so hammy and so into it, and it's a great performance. The movie's not even that good. Just he is so good. I love Bela Lugosi.
Love it.
Well, and he created our modern view of the vampire, right? Like his
Exactly.
accent is is why we picture Dracula with this with the Transylvanian accent.
Also,
Like, that's not
another
real.
Bella.
That's
That
true.
was-
Yeah.
It's a theme.
Yeah, I don't even have much to say about it. Just Bela Lugosi. He's brilliant. I love him, and his Dracula's awesome.
Yep.
I like Christopher Lee's, but not as much. He doesn't have the same hamminess.
Mm.
Bela Lugosi.
Well, we'll go see Rob Pattinson, Gary Oldman.
I think Luke Evans did a really nice job as well. I like the version. I don't know why that film just didn't do better, but I did
Which
like
one?
it. It was Dracula.
Like a recent one.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was in the 2000s. It was Luke Evans.
Right now, there's like 3 different directors are preparing a Dracula movie. So, like, Karen Kusama
Wow.
has a Dracula movie in the works. Robert Eggers has a Nosferatu movie in the works.
Ooh.
There was one more, but I forget who.
I thought there was something with Russell Crowe where he was going to play a Dracula.
Oh, maybe. Weird.
Might have dreamt about it. Not that I ever think that Russell.
I don't see that.
I might have tried.
I don't know, but
I
I
like that
swear
dream.
that it's somewhere that Russell was gearing up to play.
I mean, I
the
could see
Impaler.
that. Vlad the Impaler, yeah.
Devin, you're our last one.
Oh man. I went a little far away from the more serious roles here, and I turned to one of my favorite movies, What We Do in the Shadows,
Yeah.
which is a comedic vampire. And it was very hard to choose between the top 3, but
Yeah.
I did Jermaine Clement's character of Vladislav. It just every time his character makes me laugh so hard, and I love the not even like the comedic take, but also like the modern take of a vampire who is like gone through the ages as a terrible demon, all the way to like just living in a house in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
In its own way, a tragic tale in a different way of Arrested Development.
Mhm.
Solid.
Yeah. Good pick.
Wow, I love all of our picks.
I do
They're
too.
all so unique.
We hit everything except for Spike and Angel.
I was surprised. Honestly,
I thought someone would say it.
I'm curious to see like what the new stuff that's coming out is going to be like how they're going to try and reinvent that whole vampire. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be more of the same, but I'm really hoping for some new vampire essence.
I mean, I feel like we're getting it. Like, just last year, we had both my number 3, which I won't say in case anyone wanted to skip it, as well as the movie I just pitched you. My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To, and we had Jacob's Wife, which was not as good as the others, but fine.
This is great. I love talking to other people in film because you get so many good recommendations. You know what I mean? Things that you might have passed over or didn't know about or whatever, you can find and go, oh, that goes on my list.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And thank you three so much for going around this with us. I mean, yeah, like you said, some really, really great characters in here, some great movies. I have a list so long now. I feel like I say that every time we have a guest on. But I love it. And
No,
we're
this
so
was
happy to have
so
you.
much fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And then tell us one more time. So, Almost Normal Productions just put out The Accursed. It is available now. If you go to almostnormalproductions.com, which we have linked in our description, you can go find all the links to where you can go watch The Accursed now. You three, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anywhere else that we can find you online?
You can just find us on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, YouTube,
LinkedIn.
That's also on our website, but we're always just Almost Normal Productions.
And I will say, we found you through Instagram, and then we've been following you through there for a while, and just always really championing female filmmakers as well as yourselves. So everyone, please go check out their social media as well.
And we have a newsletter that we put out also throughout the month. So we like to talk about everything that's going on and give recommendations there as well, the films that we see and other local artists that we love.
That's on your social?
On our website, yeah.
Awesome.
You guys
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all, and we'll see you guys here for another Minisode next month.